You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. I can do those things because I'm not a hero. I'm whatever Gotham needs me to be.
They'll hunt you.
You'll hunt me. You'll condemn me. Set the dogs on me. Because that's what needs to happen. Because sometimes the truth isn't good enough. Sometimes people deserve more. Sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded.
All right. Hello, my Emo brothers. Back again. This has come up, and this actually really came up during Art's panel Tuesday when it first broke about Kevin actually being interviewed, mostly by Nicki Manaj. He didn't really conduct an interview. I guess she decided to jump in on his Instagram and pop up. And he looked genuinely as surprised as everybody else. So did he set it up? Was it set up? Possibly. Could he have reached out to her and wanted to make contact or wanted to get together? That's also possible. But knowing how Kevin is, I don't think so. I think if Kevin had reached out to her and talked to her, I think that he would have said so. Kevin is pretty upfront. He's pretty professional. Kevin is not really one to actually do things in the dark like that. If he's made contact with somebody and he's known them outside of YouTube, outside of the social media, he's pretty open about that. So I think genuinely this is Nicki Manaj actually reaching out to him. I do. That's just my personal opinion. From knowing Kevin the past, it's got to be 6 years? Jesus, I'm getting old. So there's people on both sides that either like it or don't like it. And that's normally the way things fall. There's also people that are indifferent. But I think for the most of the manosphere, either people like it or don't like it. So I looked at the interview. I looked at I don't know what to call it. I looked at the interaction. And it seemed like she was testing him. She tested him to get a feel of him. And I think, just like everybody else, his name has been spreading. I hear white women talking about Kevin Samuels. So if white women are talking about Kevin Samuels, he's pretty much mainstream. Because normally the black manosphere doesn't travel well in white circles. And I think I said that because, God, it's got to be, Jesus Christ, it's a year and a half? I mean, time is flying, COVID time, man, is really rapid. Okay, so things go by so fast during COVID that it's hard to keep up. I think it's a year and a half when I think it was the Breakfast Club actually talked about him because of the Average at Best snippet that World Star Hip Hop had done that actually went viral and got his name out there. And I said, then that was his first entrance into the mainstream. And people debated that. They said, nah, that's not mainstream. Nah, he hasn't made it yet. No, it's the black manosphere is still hidden, which it never really was, and it's really not true. And people doubted that. Everybody doubted it except me. I said, no, eventually the mainstream was going to come looking. Because the mainstream had to come looking because you got to find these chicks' husbands. Because once this so-called crisis is over, if it ever will be over, then America is going to have to stop issuing money out on the credit card, which Biden promptly dried up after, I think it was September. He promptly started drying up all the credit card spending for the United States. So basically, there's very little benefits that you're going to get after this. So now people are going to have to support themselves, and these women are going to have to find partners to help with their children, help with their households, help with their bills, help with their lives. They're going to have to find partners. And black women are going to have find partners. And Kevin Samuels is one of those keys to black women finding partners. He is, believe it or not. So the mainstream is going to have to start come looking for answers. And they're going to have to stop telling lies to themselves. The feminist lies about the strong, independent woman is going to have to go away because those are lies. And people are going to have to start telling the truth. And for a very long time, because we are so close to the street, so close to the bare metal, black men have been telling the truth for like the last 15 years. And that truth has been ignored because it could be papered over. Can't be papered over anymore. So now these truths, these ideas that had been forged over the last 15 years in the manosphere, now it's time for them to actually make their appearance because they're needed. And Kevin happens to be the spearhead for those truths. Kevin is not saying anything that the manosphere hasn't said over the past 15 years. He's not saying anything different. Even when it comes down to marriage and mating, he's not saying anything different. People think that the black manosphere is made up of so-called incels, which I never believed there was incels in the black manosphere. I think they're awkward people. I think they're men that were socially delayed. Even when I talked to them, they were socially delayed. They weren't incels. They were capable of dating and attracting women. There was just a disconnect. So I don't think there were ever very many incels in the black community, in the black manosphere. And contrary to popular belief, there's a big split between men that are single and don't have anybody, and men that are either partnered, have girlfriends, or living with somebody, and even men that are married. Most of SYSBM, believe it or not, are married. People don't believe that. When I encountered these guys, all the SYSBM guys, when I first encountered them back 2015, 2016, they were all married. Every last one of them. There's lots of men in the black manosphere that are married. There are some that have gotten divorced, but that are married, that have kids and grandchildren. I'm one of those people that have kids and grandchildren. So even what Kevin says about wanting wives and wanting to be married and finding proper wives, and that was always the biggest thing. But even the black manosphere, did they like the laws as far as child support, divorce, and family court? No, they didn't. But the biggest thing is them finding proper wives, because they didn't believe there was enough proper women out there to marry. And Kevin's group of men wanted proper wives. And so that's why Kevin set out to talk to women, because he had talked to the men for 4 years, had coached them up, had got them to the point where they were ready. They were ready to ascend. But what they didn't have was a partner, because if you want to have a family, be corporate and have a family life, you got to have a partner. And there weren't enough proper wives. So he set on this mission to actually foster the discussion of proper wives, proper black wives, especially for the high value black men that he represented. So even with what he says as talking points in the mainstream, he's not saying anything different than it's already been said in the black manosphere, even by somebody like Obsidian. Obsidian was never anti-marriage and anti-partner, and he wasn't. He was looking for women to be proper wives and proper mates. Even Angry Man, another pillar of the black manosphere, never talked about being single and hating women or anything like that. In fact, Angry Man has had a partner, has been married, has 3 children, and has a partner that he has and has had for a while. So he was never anti-woman or even anti-marriage. He don't like the child support laws and the family court laws, but he was never anti-marriage. O'Shea is not anti-woman or anti-marriage. Still isn't. Is he married? No. Does he have children? No. But the thing is, he's not anti. He never was. So that idea that what Kevin has talked about marrying or finding proper wives or proper mates, was never anti-black manosphere, no matter what other people say. So him getting into the mainstream was always, in my opinion, was always the goal. The thing is that we weren't on just online and doing in back channels, talking to each other just to talk to each other. Okay, this message was always supposed to be public, always supposed to be mainstream, because what it was supposed to do, counter the narrative that black women have been telling in the mainstream, in popular media over the past 40 years. That's what it's for. And if it can't get into the mainstream and can't get out there in popular media, then it has failed its mission, in my opinion. So Kevin Samuels going mainstream is part of that mission. That's the first part of the mission. Because if it doesn't go mainstream, it doesn't become public, then all the other things that we want to change or adapt to, which is political, legal, and social, won't happen because we won't reach enough people. So I know there's a group of guys that want to keep the black manosphere their own private club, their own private bubble. because they don't want to get scrutinized. They're going to have to get over it. And Black Manosphere has, just like any other group, has to evolve. This is the next stage of evolution. The Black Manosphere is not out there to actually beat up on women or tell untruths about women or embarrass a celebrity just because it makes some people feel good. That's not what it's about. And Kevin didn't, for two reasons. One, it was unnecessary. Two, it's not going to help the manosphere by doing that. I guess it would make it worse. And three, it actually helps him not only go further in the manosphere and carry the message further into popular media and into the public, but also it helps him personally. Kevin never said he was a poor righteous teacher. He said, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to make my bones. I'm going to make money helping people get what they want. And he said that from the very beginning. I'm going to make my money by helping people. And this is part of his mission. Okay. At the end of the day, he wants to make money. At the end of the day, he wants to do business. At the end of the day, he wants this message that he's carrying and put it out into the mainstream for public scrutiny. Now, if our ideas and our message are not solid enough to actually stand out in the light of day, then what are we here for? Are we here to actually start lying to ourselves in an echo chamber to make us feel better? Are we trying to change stuff? Because I'm not here just to make guys feel better. In fact, you know me, man. I'm feeling better. Is it part of the mission? Yeah, but it's not the main one. The main one is affecting change so people can get better. And I can be harsh because I want guys to get better. And I want things to change. And things cannot change if we hide our light under a rock. And basically, if my ideas and Kevin's ideas and the Manosphere's ideas can't hold up to the light of day, to public scrutiny, then we need to disband. Now let's get into the actual interview. And let's get to the point that most guys don't like, okay? Because Kevin evaluated her. Because that's what she wanted. Where do I rate? In your opinion, where do I rate? She wanted to find out exactly where he was. Now, people don't agree with his rating. She said she was 7 and Kevin gave her a 9. And there's a reason that she's a star, okay? Ugly people don't become stars. Average women don't become stars. Nicki Minaj basically is trading in on her looks. Now, does she have talent? Yeah, she has talent. But so do 1,000 other girls have the same talent. She's trading in on her looks. And now did she have bolt-ons and is she glammed up? Okay, of course. But if you look at the raw pictures, and I did, of Nicki Minaj with no makeup, it's not a drastic difference. A lot of guys saying she's a 6. She's not a 6. She gave herself a 7, which is too low. I gave her an 8. Kevin was a bit more generous, giving her a 9. But there can be an argument made for it. Because at that level, it's like, what's the difference between a 5 and a 6? Okay, they're right next to each other. It depends on the man looking at them. And could Kevin have been more generous? I mean, he was generous. Could he have been generous? Yeah, I think he was a little generous. But hey, that's Nicki Minaj. And she's a star for a reason. And there's no reason for him to judge her harshly. Because evidently he didn't really want to rate her at all. That's not the conversation he wanted to have. But that's the way it started. And some guys don't like that. Most guys complaining that rating women like that, most guys complaining like that is they don't, number one, those women that are at that level are probably inaccessible to them anyway. And, I've over the past 7-8 years, there's a lot of guys, man, that say stuff as far as rating women. When a lot of black guys can't really rate women. Okay. They can't. Okay. A lot of guys, because look at Stefco. Okay. I say she's a 4. A lot of guys argue with me. I date her. A lot of guys would date Stefco. A lot of guys are used to dating Stefco. The thing is, you want to drag down somebody that's Nicki Minaj, who's a star, that trades in on her looks. That's how she makes her money. So she's got to be at least an 8. Otherwise, she wouldn't qualify to be where she is. And if you look at her younger pictures, that's pretty much where she is. And she's developed into a better looking woman. But the thing is, she's that. You look at When he asked her what size and, what dress size was she? How tall were you? 5'3", and she's a dress size 4, which puts her in that range. Now, all the other stuff about sexual appetite and how many, how much should a guy have sex and this, that, and the third. Well, Kevin was playing nice, okay? But Kevin isn't. I've seen Kevin be nice to people. I've seen Kevin be nice to people that didn't deserve to be nice to, that didn't deserve his approach. And a lot of guys want to see, just because it'll make them feel better, him tear down Nicki Minaj. For what? I don't get it. We can critique her, how we feel about her. We critique her choices in men. We can do that. But Kevin doesn't have to go in and tear people down. He doesn't. He doesn't do it on a regular basis unless they kind of rude to him. And number 2, why would he do it with a woman that can help him? Because it is business. YouTube is a business, and he said that. And she is a business contact. And if she can help his career, because she did contact him, it also helps our message spread. And a lot of guys keep saying that the manosphere is going to go down the drain. I believe it's because you don't want the manosphere to exist in the first place. You don't want it to evolve. So I applaud Kevin for taking advantage of a situation. I would love to see some of these guys that are complaining and see what they would do if Nicki Minaj popped up on their live stream, or some other starlet or popular person popped up on their live stream. Would they really be rude to her? Would they really start tearing her down? I tend not to believe so, because one of the biggest curmudgeons in our sector is Obsidian. And I've seen Obsidian being polite to women that actually had status. I've heard him do it. So I don't know what these people are talking about. I don't even know why people are complaining. And sometimes I think some of this stuff is just low-key jealousy because it's not you. I really do. Anyhow, I could do a reaction video to it. He probably would allow me to do it. But for the most part, there's really not that much there to actually talk about, because it was mostly an interview by Nicki Minaj to Kevin to see what he would say, how he would react, and whether he could be personable on the spotlight, which he passed. And that's why she said she's going to do other things with him. And if you guys were expecting me to badmouth my boy, you came to the wrong channel. I don't badmouth any of my boys. Now, will I disagree with him? And I've had disagreed with Kevin. I'll do that. But to badmouth him, and to badmouth him when he has an opportunity to actually further his career, oh, hell no. In fact, I would tell him, jump on it with both feet, man, and ride it till the wheels fall off. Which is what I told him at the very beginning of this current uptrend for him. I said, man, ride this shit till the wheels fall off. Ride it as far as you can, man, and take advantage of every opportunity that you can, because that's what life is. And the manosphere will be just fine, because the manosphere is made up of people, like-minded people that are coming here to talk about their issues. That's not going to go away. One person is not going to make or break the manosphere. Even Kevin knows that he's not going to make or break the manosphere. He's not. And so far, one thing people can't say, he's been pretty true to his principles. So what, he gave Nicki Minaj and you disagree with it. So what? So what if he played nice with Nicki Minaj to further his career? So what? Everybody talks about keeping it real until money's involved. I've seen that. I've seen that here on YouTube for a lot less money and a lot less status basically at stake. So miss me with that. Anyhow, let me get off here before I start ranting. This is BGS Sound. I'll see you guys on the next.